Thank you for joining us for this informational and educational webinar. This is all about applying for tourism grants in Westmoreland, Somerset, and Fayette counties. We hope you stay with us, and we also hope that you refer back to this webinar as you begin the grant process. It's very easy, the money is there, and this is your opportunity to apply and improve your own tourism asset here in the beautiful Laurel Highlands. So let's get started. We're going to take you through the entire process. So it's super easy when the time is right for you to apply for a tourism grant. Let's start with the primary intent of the legislation. In order to really understand why you are applying for a grant, you need to understand why these were created in the first place. First and foremost, they really are to be visitor focused. We want people to come here, we want people to stay here, and we want them to have an extraordinary experience. So remember that when you're writing your grant. How do you get on that road to success? It really is very easy, and it really is just simply following the guidelines and listening to the process. So I always think the easiest way is really to look at someone else, see success that someone else has utilized in order to land a tourism grant. We'll start with Stage Right in Westmoreland County. They applied for a $12,433 grant. Take a look at what they included in that marketing grant. It was online, it was TV, it included social. A lot of different elements were added for that marketing grant. When the Tourism Review Committee looked at it, they saw it was a broad scope of marketing and it was approved. Let's move to Fayette County and Neubauer's. Neubauer's Flowers and Market House applied for a $30,000 marketing grant and they received it. But they didn't just showcase their particular business. They included the entire town of Uniontown. So it really made it a destination. That's what set them apart for their marketing grant in Fayette County. Moving up to Somerset County, this one is a hotel. And yes, if you collect lodging tax, you are eligible for a tourism grant. So the Comfort Inn wanted to focus on golfers. They put together a play and stay golf package, $10,000 worth of marketing. And you can see by this one, their focus was newspaper, which is terrific, but the focus was beyond their county. So you have Reading and Harrisburg, York, and Youngstown. Again, another successful grant application. History is always important. So where did these grants begin? The counties started back as early as 2002. The lodging funds for the tourism grants come from the lodging tax, which is collected in each of the 3 counties. A portion of that tax does come to Go Laurel Highlands to market the region. The majority of the monies really that are collected stay within the county and are utilized for this tourism grant program. Let's talk about successful use of lodging tax within the county. I think that's important too. The top photo that you see is the beautiful Arnold Palmer Regional Airport that has undergone a complete transformation thanks to the lodging tax. Below, you see visitor area for folks that are flying in or flying out of the airport, and they can find all sorts of information available to them. In Fayette County, here's the brand new visitor center along the Great Allegheny Passage. It's located in Yock Park, easily funded through the lodging tax that was collected. This is a new visitor center that opened in the spring of 2021. And another successful use of lodging tax is maintaining the Great Allegheny Passage. The largest portion of the Great Allegheny Passage is located in Fayette County. So a portion of the lodging tax annually goes to maintaining that beautiful trail. So why do people come to the Laurel Highlands? You need to remember this when you're writing your tourism grant as well. There are 4 main reasons folks come to the Laurel Highlands. First and foremost, outdoor recreation. Secondly, history and culture, followed closely by health and wellness. And by that, we mean not our Excella Health or WVU hospital institutions, but more it's about mental and physical wellness and how that's associated with nature. And the fourth pillar, classic amusements, and that really lands upon Idlewild Park. Who is the visitor? So you need to know your audience. That's important too. So families, couples, and adult groups come to the Laurel Highlands. 33% bring their children. That's higher than the national average. So think about your message and how you are telling your story to an audience that might include children. Span all age groups. They travel less than 300 miles. So we are the perfect road trip. We really want them to stay 2 nights, 3 and 4 is even better. What are the top emotional drivers? And I think this is for every one of us. They're looking for a little bit of excitement or a change of pace, relaxation, and a true break from their day to day. All of these are critically important, and you need to think about that when you are comprising your tourism grant. Where are they coming from? Who's looking at us? The top 10 cities come from our own website analytics on golaurelhighlands.com. And your eyes aren't deceiving you. You see some pretty major markets there: New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia. And you look down at the bottom and you say, Chicago and Detroit, how do those get in the mix? Well, they're in the mix because those particular residents in those two major metropolitan areas are looking for whitewater. So pick a market or pick an area that surrounds one of those major metropolitan areas and start to formulate what you feel would be an excellent marketing grant. So now you want those visitors and you want a grant. Well, guess what? There are a lot of people that want those too. But don't be discouraged. If you apply for a grant this year and you don't get one, apply again next year. I will say that partnership is key. And by that, I mean, if you're a single entity, maybe there are 2 or 3 other folks that are close by that you could work with to create a nice getaway package and submit for everyone on your own individual grant. Above all, you've got to read and pay attention to the details, and follow up is crucial and critical. You do not want to be disqualified before you even begin. So yeah, it can be a little bit frustrating, but the important thing is don't miss the deadlines. Grants are going to be available on September 1st. Easy enough to remember. You need to have them to us by Friday, October the 1st. So remember the 1st when you're doing these grants. So let's take a moment and do a quick overview and follow along with these bullet points, if you will. Tourism grants are available in all 3 counties, Fayette, Somerset, and Westmoreland. The types of grants are going to be different by county. So make sure that you're in your county and you're utilizing the correct application. Yes, you can partner with others that are outside of your county if it helps them come to your particular area. Be sure to follow all the guidelines and use the correct forms, the correct application for your county. And again, we don't want you to be disqualified before you even begin the process. So let's take a look at how the process actually works. And it's pretty streamlined. So Go Laurel Highlands has been designated by each county as the DMO, or Destination Marketing Organization, to market the tourism assets in that county. Funds are collected in that county and they are held in a special account for tourism grants. The accounts are audited each and every year, and that audit is provided back to the county commissioners every March. Once you submit your grant, it then goes to a committee of 5 individuals. Someone from the Laurel Highlands serves on that particular committee. A member from the lodging community also serves on that committee. And each county commissioner appoints someone to serve in their capacity on that grant review committee. The committee has a list of any grants that are not eligible due to outstanding or missing final reports from previous years. That's important to remember. Always follow up and always close out your grant. Grants are reviewed by the committee and they'll be done November this year. The decisions are final. Grants will be awarded in December, so that's a little earlier than usual. And the reason being is we want to get those checks in your hands as quickly as possible. The checks will be dispersed and you'll be able to utilize those funds from January 2nd through December 31st of 2022. Match. I know this can be a little bit confusing, and if you have any questions, please give us a call. This is not our rule. This is the rule of the Commonwealth. It is a statute, Act 18, that grants do require a match. So be sure that you are providing the correct information to have a match for your grant. So what's the role of Go Laurel Highlands? Go Laurel Highlands really is the administrator of the program. Disbursement of funds comes from Go Laurel Highlands, but at the direction of the grant committee in each county. Go Laurel Highlands oversees all of the documentation, all of the processes, and works with the grant recipients to ensure compliance on each criteria and guideline. Respond to questions. If you have a question, please reach out to Georgia Rabinski, who is the grant administrator. Also, we know sometimes things change. I think we all experienced that over the past 18 months. Changes are fine, but you do need to submit that change to Georgia in order for that to go out to the committee and get approval. And then you have a yes or a no for that change or use of funds. And again, these grants are county tourism grants. They're not Laurel Highlands grants. So if I were you, I'd thank your fellow county commissioners from time to time for the opportunity to have these funds that you can use to market your individual properties. So here's my only plug for Go Laurel Highlands. When these grants become available on September the 1st, you're going to see our sales opportunities available to you as well. We're pretty much an expert in what it is that we do. And I say that very proudly because, as you can see on this particular slide, we have received a very distinguished designation. We are now accredited by Destinations International. They are the organization that all of us adhere to for what it is that we do. And it's not just here in the United States, but this is an internationally recognized organization. So we're very, very proud of that designation. We had stringent guidelines that we too needed to adhere to and had special standards that we had to meet. So we know what we're doing. And because of that, the menu that we will offer you for marketing opportunities are things that I would personally like for you to consider. As you can see on this slide, there are a number of opportunities that you can take advantage of. And being a marketing partner with us is something that you can put on your grant request. Basic listing package. Why? Because you're on our website and you are in our destination guide. So that makes perfect sense because it is a marketing tool. You can apply and utilize funds for our 2022, even our 2023 destination guide. There are map ads, there are social opportunities, e-newsletters, website. You can just read down through all of those kind of things. And of course, our wonderful Pour Tour experience is among those things that you might consider when you're doing your particular grant. Enough of the commercial. Thank you very much. All right, so where do I find what I need? September the 1st, simply go to golaurelhighlands.com/grants. This is what you will see on that page, Tourism Grant Program. So if this is not what you're seeing, then you're on the wrong page. So make sure when you put that in your browser this is what pops up for you. I'm going to take you through just a few of the criteria and guidelines. Each county is pretty much the same. There's going to be some subtle changes in each. So again, make sure at the very top, it says your particular county. It will say Westmoreland, Fayette, Somerset. I'm just pulling up Westmoreland here just so you can see what that page is going to look like when you have it in front of you. There'll be a statement of purpose, and we've already covered really why these tourism grants have been established. And then you'll take a look at the criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as we work our way down through. So I'm going to review some of these with you because I feel a little bit more emphasis on these is important. So let's take a look. Grants are available for both for-profit and nonprofit organizations. Read carefully what you must provide for a match for your particular county. It might be slightly different in each county. Secondly, all lodging establishments are eligible to submit a grant. There are so many of you that are lodging properties, and you don't take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. You need to do that. You really do. One thing that you do need to understand, you need to be in good standing with your county treasurer's office. Hopefully, you're following the law and you are collecting that lodging tax. If you need to contact the tax office just to make sure that everything is in order, please feel free to do so. If you receive a grant, the monies need to be utilized between a 12-month period, January through December of 2022. And don't assume that you will receive a grant on an annual basis. It's important that you get your legs under you, so to speak, that you have enough funding to be able to continue what it is that you do. This is a support mechanism, that's true, but you can't always be guaranteed a grant each and every year. Here's a biggie. If at the deadline for submission of the current year's application, any recipient of a prior grant who has not submitted the required supporting documentation within the prescribed deadline, explaining and providing evidence that you have utilized the grant for its purpose, you are not eligible. You're not eligible. And that list goes to the grant review committee, and they know who and who has not complied with the criteria and those guidelines. All grant applications must be submitted by the authorized representative of the requesting entity, and they cannot be submitted by a third party or an agency on your behalf. So what does that mean? That means if you're the executive director, for instance, of your organization, you need to be responsible for submitting that grant. It's your name and your signature that is on that grant application. It can't be ABC Promotions that is putting this grant together on your behalf. You're getting the money, you're responsible for the money, not an ad agency. All nonprofits, take a listen. You must provide a copy of your IRS determination, 501c letter, and a list of your board of directors. That's important. Make sure you have both of those documents when you submit. Failure to do so, again, will make you ineligible this year. For-profits, lucky. I mean, think about this for a moment. You can't walk into a bank these days and say, oh, I need $10,000 for marketing. So we are extremely grateful that our county commissioners recognize that a for-profit needs money to market. And this is an opportunity for you. So what's important for you to remember is you need to treat the grant as income. And it's your responsibility to pay any necessary taxes on that money that you receive. You must submit a W-9. Check with your accountant. I'm not one, so you check. Okay, so things happen, don't they? I mean, certainly, we've seen a lot of changes. So, oops, I cannot spend the money, or cannot spend the money as I intended, or I've sold my business, but I received a tourism grant. So again, read the criteria and the guidelines. What's important to remember is that money is not transferable to the next business entity because the grant has been submitted with your name and your EIN number. This gets a little confusing, I think, especially for newbies. So let's talk about those dollar amounts that you do get and how much you get when you get your check. Okay, so based on the dollar amount, grants will be distributed with a minimum of 1/2 of the grant awarded. So for me, it's easier to look at numbers and then kind of be able to understand things a little bit better. So $10,000. You've been awarded $10,000. You're going to get a check for $10,000, $11,000. Well, you don't get 10,000 and then 1,000. You get half. So you're going to get an initial check of $5,500. And then when you've completed 50% of your project and you've met the second half reporting requirements, you're going to get that second half of $5,500, equaling a total of $11,000. $25,000. You're going to get 10,000. No, you're not going to get 10,000 to start. You're going to get 12,500, half of that $25,000. And then again, just like before, you complete the second half guideline requirements, and then you'll get that second check for 12,500. So why do I show you these numbers? Well, first of all, don't ask for more than you need, truly. If you only need $8,500, then that's what you write your grant for. If you're teetering between 10,000 and 12,000, think about that for a moment. Is it better to have that $10,000 in hand to start that marketing buy than to request 12,000 and you only get 6,000 to get started? So do the math. What really works for you? How much should you ask for? Well, that really falls to you. I will say that the tourism committees have granted larger amounts, 25,000, 30,000, 35,000 in some instances. It really does depend upon what it is that you're doing and how you are utilizing those funds. But no amount is too small. So keep that in mind as well. Read the reporting guidelines. They're located on the final page of the criteria and guidelines forms. So print those out, take a good read through those, begin to understand what a second half report means and what a final report means, because both of those are critically important, not only for this grant cycle, but your future grant cycles as well. And again, meet your deadlines. Funds must be used by December 31st of 2022. And then your final report needs to be submitted by March 31st of the following year, March 31st of 2023. Types of grants. So here's where things change just a little bit between the different counties. Again, why it's important for you to find your county and read what's available to you. All counties provide marketing grants. All counties provide funding for visitor centers along the Great Allegheny Passage. Some counties provide for capital grants, and only one in Fayette County provides operational funding. Eligible expenses. This is where you need to spend some time and really look at what the committee is going to fund, because they will go through that budget sheet and they'll get a red pen and they'll cross out things that are not eligible. So why put something in there that you're not going to get money for? Be very careful about what it is that you ask for. So Internet, website. I mean, obviously, this is the world in which we all live. We need a functional website that is interactive and really is engaging to the visitor. So, internet website development and enhancement to your current website is eligible if it is contracted with an entity not affiliated with the applicant. So you're utilizing a professional to do the work for you. Creative development. So this can be creating photo libraries or film libraries that you're able to utilize for maybe your social or maybe your website. It can be logo development. It can be new artwork that you're going to be using. Again, if contracted with an entity not affiliated with your applicant. Brochure and design and printing are eligible. And we have quite a number of things that are obviously advertising or traditional advertising, everything from TV to radio, newspapers, magazines, billboards, SEM, digital ad campaigns. And remember, this is important, that local media can be part of your media mix, but the majority should be outside of your particular county. Expenses not eligible. Spend some time really reading through these things that are not going to be funded. It's important for you, again, to do your homework. And if you have any questions, feel free to email Georgia or place a phone call. It's a lot easier to do it while you're doing this process than afterwards and you don't receive your money. So telephone expenses, payroll, all of those kind of things that are not eligible, all of these are easily pointed out for you, and take a moment, read through those, and make sure you are only putting things in your grants that are eligible. I'm a visual person, so being able to actually see something helps me. And I thought it would be terrific for us to take just a few moments and go through the actual application so you can see how simple it is and how easy it is to apply this year. One thing is going to make everyone happy. Remember how you used to do 5 copies and you had to send them in? Don't have to do that anymore. All you're going to have to do is hit the submit button when you're finished. But one thing to always remember is save your work as you go along. That way it's just easy, and you make sure that if somebody calls you and you've got to answer the phone, you've already saved that information and you don't have to go back to the beginning. So as we go down through this application, we filled in some of the areas where you're going to have to put your information. So you may see the word test or something like that. But again, just being able to show you how this particular application works. So super simple. You're going to put in your legal organization name, what your address is, super simple, all those kind of things when you're filling in any kind of application. We need your website. We need your contact person and what their title is with your organization. And you're also going to need phone numbers and emails for that particular individual. What are you? Are you a 501c3, 501c6, or a for-profit? Check the right box. We also need your EIN or your federal ID number. What's your mission statement? You do not need to go on a 300-400 word expose on what it is your mission statement is. Take a look. We only need 2 to 100 words there. Brief description of your organization, giving you a little bit more word count here of 150. But again, just brief. Really, the committee knows most of the tourism businesses within the community, but just in case they don't, just a brief description of your organization. Have you applied for a tourism grant before? Yes, no. Trust me, you're not going to be one way or the other. Just be upfront and honest. Yes, I've received a grant in 2020. Indicate the amount that you received, and maybe you have a balance from that particular grant. Some people operate under different names. Like I shared with you, we're Go Laurel Highlands, but we also do business as Laurel Highlands Visitors Bureau. So we do need that information also. So take a moment and fill in that particular information if it applies to you. All right, so grant part 3 is really your proposal. Here's the meat and potatoes, as they say, of everything. So a description of your project. What's your current need? What's the problem? How is this particular grant going to help with that particular process? You have 500 words that you're able to utilize there. Is this a cooperative project? Remember, we talked a little bit about working with others. If it is, here's your opportunity to talk about that. How will this project enhance or increase tourism in your county? This is a section that the Grant Review Committee takes time and really puts some good thought into a yes or a no when it comes to a grant. So you too need to really think about this. How are you going to measure the outcome of this particular project? Maybe you're going to utilize grant analytics. Maybe you're doing intercept surveys or something of that nature. Maybe you're doing cash register receipts, but please fill in this because it's important for us to understand that you're being accountable for that money that's being granted to you. And here's how you're going to go about doing that. If you're a tourist attraction, please provide your annual visitation numbers for the past 3 years. Sure, we'd like to see them go up and down, but we also know that we have all undergone the COVID-19 pandemic together. We understand if those numbers have fallen off. Don't worry about that. Please be honest and truthful with your numbers. Funding. Okay, here's where you're going to be uploading particular grant budget worksheets and so forth. So all of these funds or all of these forms are going to be available on our website. So again, you're going to need to make sure that you're providing all of the correct documentation. So again, reading through these different kinds of things, making sure that you're following the match criteria. What qualifies for in-kind matches? If you are utilizing volunteers, they can be utilized for $10 per hour. Must be documented, include dates and services and all of those kind of things. If you're uncertain with any of this, again, please reach out to Georgia and she will be happy to provide you with a little bit further explanation and do a little bit more hand-holding. This we've already covered, what's eligible and what's not. Again, if you think you know, but you're not quite sure, give us a call and we'll be happy to clarify that for you. Again, total budget. So you're going to be getting funds from perhaps other sources. You're requesting a particular amount for your grant. You've got a cash match. You've got an in-kind match. So you're going to need to fill in these particular fields. And if you do have volunteers, now this volunteer form is really for our festival folks. You definitely have a lot of folks that are volunteering. You could have someone that's emptying trash cans to somebody that's doing ticket admissions to somebody that's just walking around and sitting in a booth so somebody can go and have a bite of lunch or something like that. Fill this information in accurately and provide that as your match. Completion. Part 5. You're almost there. So again, you really need to read everything and begin to understand, I need to submit this. When do I need to submit this? Yes, I agree to all of these things that you're asking for me to do in order for me to receive this particular grant. You, as the person who is submitting the grant, you're going to put your name, your title, and you're going to sign that you agree to everything that has been placed in this grant is accurate, it is truthful, and you are providing that in an honest way. Okay. So again, the documents that are required for upload, and we'll show you where those are located on the website as well. You need a W-9. Your budget worksheet absolutely needs to be there. Your IRS 501c3 for our nonprofits and a board of directors list with addresses. Again, if it applies to you, you're going to be able to upload those documents right here in this application. You're not going to need to do those photocopies and all of those kind of things. And if you've been paying attention, you realize that we have really streamlined this process. We are not asking for media kits. We are not asking for television analytics or anything of that nature. The people that serve on the committee have tremendous history. They know. So that kind of information is no longer necessary for you to provide for your grant ask. And then, of course, you're going to date it. Please do not wait until the last minute. If you have this lovely application finished by September the 15th, please hit this bottom right button that says submit, and you're done. You don't have to wait until October the 1st at 4:30. So again, start to begin the process. Start thinking about what you want in your grant application. The application itself will be available on September the 1st. You've got 4 to 5 weeks in order to work on that. And then you want to be sure that it is submitted by October 1st by 4:30. It comes directly to us. You don't need to hand deliver it to our office in Ligonier. It's already done electronically for you. Okay. And again, make sure you save as you go along. Finish a page, save it. Finish a page, save it. Makes it super easy for you. Okay. So we're going to take just a moment and take a look at that budget worksheet very quickly. I will say that probably this worksheet gives most applicants the most pause. You know, you're trying to pull everything together and you're just not quite sure. So again, this is where questions asked are appreciated, to make sure that you have the information in this budget worksheet and it is absolutely correct. So let's just take a moment. Vendor name and description of the activity. You can keep it very simple. WTAE TV, 30-second commercials to air between August and October. Pretty brief, pretty simple. For each activity in your budget, you need to make sure that you have the correct quote for what that cost is going to be. Don't pad it. Be honest. What's it going to cost for you to design and print a brochure? Be honest. Matching requirement. Again, this is something that's required by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You need a 25% match. It can be a cash match that comes from your own treasury and your own funds. So again, keep in mind, it can be a cash or an in-kind match. And an in-kind match could be a professional that is donating their services for you. So be accurate with that information. What is qualified for those in-kind matches? And again, if you're just not quite sure, please place a phone call and we'll be happy to answer that for you. But sometimes you'll find a designer and they will provide pro bono work for you. Or it may be a printer and they're going to provide maybe a discount for you. So again, being accurate and providing that information is critically important. We've already talked about that in-kind volunteer work that's available for our festivals, and that is on the other worksheet that we did show you. So let's take a look down here. You've got to put your name of your business, the county for which you're applying. The contact person should match the grant application and your federal ID. Then you go down through here and your vendor name, who that is, your grant request, your match, and the total cost of that activity. Keep in mind that the column on the far right-hand side, source of the match, and the match doesn't have to go with absolutely every single line, as long as when you get to the bottom, the match is 25%. That's what's important. And again, if you need a little bit of help on that, just to make sure that you have it correct, please feel free to reach out to us. But again, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty simple. You don't need to spend a ton of time with your description of the activity. The grant review committee understands TV commercials, social, all of those kind of things. They understand the newspapers Again, when you're doing newspapers, keep in mind it's outside of your county, and that's what's important as you begin to build your marketing request. Okay, just a few more slides and we'll be done. So we'll head back to our PowerPoint for just a couple closing slides. Again, things to remember. Friday, October 1st, 2021 is the deadline for grant submissions. You must hit that submit button by 4:30. Again, no longer need 5 copies mailed to us. Simply hit the submit button, automatically comes to our offices. We have several folks that are going to be receiving those emails so that we can cross-check everything and make sure that we're not missing anything. Please be sure that all of the proper documentations have been uploaded that are needed. So happy or sad, we've done what we can do on this end, streamline the process, have a great group of folks that are going to be reviewing in each of our respective counties. We have a truly supportive group of county commissioners who understand travel and tourism and have afforded you this opportunity. So the success really lies in your hands or your paws or however you want to put it. But again, take some time, be diligent, be creative in what it is that you're asking for. Don't always submit the same old, same old. Now, there's a lot of really cool and new and innovative marketing opportunities out there. And this grant process allows you that opportunity to try those new things. So ready, set, go. Here we go. Criteria and grant applications are available September the 1st. There's where you'll go. The deadline covered Friday, October 1st by 4:30. Anything after that, if there is a date stamp that comes through on an email and it's 5 o'clock, it is not eligible. Grant questions. Georgia Rabinski is the grant administrator for all 3 counties. You can see her email below and you can see her phone number as well. So please feel free to reach out to Georgia. And that's it. Good luck, everybody.